Lots of alcohol and other drugs are not the only things that can impair your driving. Lots of factors can negatively impact your driving abilities, including being distracted, becoming drowsy, and experiencing powerful emotions such as anger. Unfortunately, the result of this impairment is almost always bad. The good news is that you can learn how to avoid becoming distracted, drowsy, and highly emotional, and therefore how to prevent any of them from affecting your driving abilities. By taking personal responsibility for how you drive at all times, you can make that critical difference and avoid these dangerous situations. One of the major issues in driving safety over the past few years has been distracted driving, and with good reason. It seems like some drivers are paying attention to everything except their driving. Grooming, talking on the cell phone, or reading the paper or a map. What these drivers don't realize is that driving requires a great deal of focus to know what's going on around you, to make good decisions, and to take accurate action in response to changing conditions. Simply put, these other tasks draw a driver's attention partly or completely away from driving. So, what types of things can distract drivers? What should drivers be wary of? Generally, distractions can be divided into 3 types. A driver can be distracted by one or all of these. The first type of distraction is visual. Visual distractions cause you to move your eyes away from the road. For example, this happens when you look at the radio or at a passenger in your vehicle. The second type of distraction is physical. Physical distractions mean you're taking a physical action unrelated to driving, such as when you reach for an object or eat a sandwich while driving. This type of distraction generally involves removing at least one hand from the steering wheel. The third type of distraction is cognitive. A cognitive distraction is when your mind is not focused on driving. For example, talking on a hands-free cell phone keeps your hands on the wheel, but it diverts some of your mental attention to the conversation and away from the roadway. Any one of these distractions can have life-threatening consequences. The results of distracted driving are scary. Inattention is involved in more than 1 million crashes each year. Distractions can come from either outside or inside the vehicle. Perhaps less predictable in nature are outside distractions. These could be crash scenes, emergency vehicles, even other roadway users. Distractions inside the vehicle can be just as risky, if not more so. These can include adjusting the audio system, reaching for a loose object, and interacting with passengers. In fact, a driver's risk of a collision increases with each additional passenger in the vehicle. Interesting, isn't it? Crash risk increases roughly 2 times with 1 teen passenger, triples with 2 passengers, and increases 6 times with 3 or more passengers. Okay, let's talk about all the other potential inside distractions. Cell phones are a major distraction, whether you're calling, emailing, texting, or surfing the web. Although it may seem like talking on the phone is just like talking to a passenger in the vehicle, the truth is talking on a cell phone while driving is very risky. In fact, it doesn't just double your risk of having a collision, it doesn't just triple it. It increases the chance of having a crash by 4 times. The fact that cell phone use is dangerous is probably not news to you. Of course, cell phones are also widely used to send and receive text messages. And texting while driving involves all 3 types of distraction: visual, physical, and cognitive. Each is dangerous enough on its own, but when combined, they can add up to disaster. If you text, you are 25% more likely to drift into adjacent lanes, and your eyes off the road time can increase by up to 4 times. But here's the worst part. The overall risk of experiencing a crash or near-crash event can rise by more than 20 times. That's an increase of over 2,000%. It's one thing to hear about how texting while driving is dangerous, but it's another to actually see how driving ability is actually affected. That's why we invited some new young drivers to actually try to text while driving. The test was conducted in a closed parking lot on a low-speed course lined by traffic cones. A driving instructor was aboard for safety and to provide the messages each driver would be asked to text. To start, each driver first drove the course without texting to become familiar with the layout. Then each drove it again while sending as many text messages as they could.
Text, where are you?
The results weren't pretty. Nicole sent 7 messages, but knocked over 28 cones along the way. Tyler sent 6 text messages and hit 18 cones. Lindsay sent only 2 messages.
When you're done, what's for dinner?
But hit 27 cones. Molly sent 8 text messages and hit 52 cones. And Belinda sent the most messages, 10, but also hit the most cones at 52. The drivers also had trouble sending accurate text messages. Where are you? What's for dinner? Be home soon. Out at 6. How about pizza tonight? At the end of each drive, the drivers were asked how they thought they would do on the course.
I honestly thought I was going to do pretty good.
Going into this, I thought I would do pretty well with the driving part.
I thought I was going to do okay. Like, I knew I probably couldn't do it perfectly.
Well, going into this, I thought I was going to do pretty good, but, not too bad.
I thought I was going to do pretty well texting and driving.
They were also asked how they drove and why they performed as they did.
I didn't think I was doing as bad as I did.
You think you did bad?
Horrible. I hit so many cones, that more than anyone here.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Why?
I felt like when I was texting, like, I was having like a spaz. Like, I was looking up and down and my hair was in my face and I couldn't like figure out even what I was doing.
I did pretty bad. I couldn't really concentrate on the road while my mind was somewhere else.
Well, I didn't do nearly as good as I thought I was going to. I hit quite a lot of cones.
I don't think I did really well. I kept hitting things. Horrible. At the end, I think I did horrible. Because it's definitely a very big challenge to text and drive at the same time, and it's not possible.
Lastly, they were asked about what they would want other drivers to know about texting and driving.
I'd like everybody to know that the person that you're texting, they can wait. It's more important to worry about where you are and what you're doing. You should put your priorities first and look what's more important.
Texting and driving is very hard because you have to keep your eyes on the road and keep your eyes near your phone and texting and seeing what you're going to say, and it's just not possible to do it at the same time.
Well, if someone sends you a text while you're driving, you're best just waiting until you can get to a safe spot to respond to that text, because texting and driving at the same time is just not safe, and you could hit something or hurt somebody.
What I would like everyone to know is your life is worth more than a text message. So don't text and drive.
These were real drivers, trying their best to drive and text accurately at the same time. As you can see, they could do neither.
I want everyone to know that the cones I hit could have easily been a little kid or another person and endangered their life as well as mine.
Fortunately, there are things that every driver can do to prevent distractions while driving. To start, there are steps that you can take before you ever get behind the wheel. Choose your music before your trip, or only when safely stopped. Program destinations into your GPS before starting your trip. If you need to adjust it, safely pull off the road first. Secure items that may move around once the car is in motion. Do your personal grooming at home, not in the car. There are also actions you can take to manage distractions once you're on the road, such as asking a passenger to help you with activities that may be distracting, and pulling safely off the road and out of traffic to deal with children, rowdy passengers, and pets. Also, avoid messy and difficult to handle foods and drinks, and never try to reach for an object out of your reach. This frequently involves taking your eyes off the road, and it's surprisingly easy to lose control of the steering wheel and steer the vehicle out of the lane. There are also steps you can take to prevent becoming distracted by cell phones. The easiest solution is simply to avoid cell phone use while behind the wheel. Although it's fine for passengers to use electronics like cell phones, drivers need to focus their attention on the road when they're behind the wheel. When it comes to cell phones, the best decision is to just turn the phone off. Voicemail does a great job of catching calls while you're driving. You can even use your voicemail message to tell callers why you're not answering. This may sound harsh, but the best choice is when you power up your car, power down your phone. No call or text is worth a life, right? Plenty of research confirms that a distracted driver is more likely to miss something important. But some drivers still try to do other things while driving, even when they know better. They know it's risky, they know how to prevent becoming distracted, and yet they still engage in other activities while driving. What each of these drivers, in fact all drivers, should be asked is, can you live knowing you took a life? This driver looks very tired, and there's only one cure for it: getting rest. It's common to become drowsy or fatigued while driving, especially when driving late at night or on long, boring roads. And when drivers become tired, their driving abilities suffer. Drowsiness can negatively affect every aspect of driving. In fact, the effects of fatigue can be similar to the effects of alcohol. That's one reason why drowsy driving is recognized as a leading cause of traffic crashes. It's estimated that over 100,000 crashes are caused by drowsy driving each year. Plus, about 1 out of every 6 fatal crashes involves a drowsy driver. But who are these drivers? Who tends to fall asleep behind the wheel? First, it's drivers who are sleep deprived, who haven't gotten enough sleep. In fact, just staying awake for 18 hours straight can cause impairments in your driving ability approximately equal to a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. After staying awake for 24 straight hours, a driver's impairment can be similar to that of a blood alcohol level of 0.10%. Young drivers are also at high risk for getting sleepy behind the wheel, especially new drivers. In fact, over 2/3 of drivers involved in drowsy driving crashes are under age 30. These drivers are 4 times more likely to be involved in a fall-asleep crash than drivers who are ages 30 and older. Many drivers think that their bodies will tell them when they're getting tired, so they can stop driving before fatigue really sets in. However, about half of the time, your body will give no signs of fatigue, and that means that drowsiness can sneak up on any driver. The important point is not to rely on your body to give you signs that you're getting tired. The only real solution is to get enough rest before you hit the road. Also, when you're driving for more than 2 hours, be sure to take breaks along the way. Stop at least every 100 miles or every 2 hours and take a break from driving. Lastly, avoid driving when taking any medications that might cause drowsiness, such as decongestants. And if you get tired on the road, pull over, find a safe place, and get the rest you need. Drowsy driving is deadly, and it is a leading killer of young drivers. Your body needs its rest. Make sure you get plenty before you hit the road. Emotion can cause crashes, just like alcohol and fatigue. Anger is particularly dangerous and can grow into road rage. Not a good thing behind the wheel. One key is to do what you can to prevent other drivers from becoming angry with you. Avoid changing lanes unnecessarily. Always use your turn signals before turning or changing lanes. Avoid using aggressive or offensive hand gestures when communicating with other drivers. Use your horn only when needed. And remember that a couple of short taps can be less aggressive than one long one. And the best tip of all is this: never cause another driver to use their brakes or to steer around you. Let's hear that one again. Never cause another driver to use their brakes or to steer around you. That means timing your moves carefully, like making sure you have plenty of space before pulling into traffic so other drivers don't have to slow down. You don't want to be anywhere near drivers experiencing road rage. If you do find yourself near a driver who is angry, here are a couple of tips. Do not respond to that driver and avoid eye contact. Be tolerant and forgiving. They may just be having a really bad day. Be sure to allow enough room around your vehicle so you can escape if you need to. Do not get out of your vehicle. If necessary, contact 911 for assistance. Remember, you can only control your own behavior. Make sure you behave wisely and make good judgments at all times.